Welcome to Toffee TV. There's the final word. Everton 3, Dynamo Kyiv 0. A good run out for the Toffees in their final pre-season game ahead of this Saturday's start of the Premier League season against Chelsea. Yeah, good. It was a good night. It was a good run out. It was a good occasion. The match for peace. It felt like it was Eurovision at times, which not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Let's get Eurovision to Liverpool. That's what I say. No, it was a really good occasion that Everton ran out 3-0 winners of, and the team that started. Do you think that would be our starting lineup on Saturday against Chelsea?
It's hard to say, and I suppose that's a good thing because we got new players in. Obviously McNeil was only there a day. He's coming in and scored. Dele Alli scored a couple in pre-season. We didn't score that. Obviously, the first two games we didn't score at all. So I suppose for this one as well, it was good to see us getting a few on the score sheet. Obviously, different players getting in with goals as well, which is good. Obviously, like I said, McNeil, a new player. So I have no idea what will start on Saturday. And like I said, I suppose that's a good thing because Gray and Gordon obviously started last season. They've both started, a few games in pre-season, and they've looked basically the same as last season. They look okay, they look good on the ball, but really in the final third, they need to improve massively. And obviously we've lost McPartland now, which was our top scorer. So when he plays, in there scoring goals, McNeil's came and I know he's played one game and it's against Kyiv. Not a strong Kyiv side, but he's come and scored 2 goals already. So I don't know what will start on Saturday, but I suppose that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it was that team that started. I think the shape will be what we start with. I think that's the shape that he likes, without having someone in the midfield, a number 6, obviously, that we've been after all summer. I think without having that, I think 3 at the back does suit us. Would I want that team? Not really, no, because I don't want Michael Keane in it. I'd want Yerry Mina in it. Midfield, interesting, because obviously with the talk of Idrissa Gana Gueye coming back, obviously Alan was on the bench as well. He's come back a little bit slow because of an operation. You'd want maybe him in there. But there are a lot of questions. There's players there, the likes of where does Iwobi fit into this team? Where does Dele fit into this team? There are questions to be asked. So I imagine that's the way we're gonna line up with 3 at the back. I think it suits us. I think the two full backs, who obviously now wing backs, it suits them. And I think the way we played showed that we've obviously been working on that formation. And we've seen this at the back end of last season, and it was a lot more of a 5 then. We were getting men behind the ball, and we were obviously trying to keep a lot more of a defensive shape. But I think what you saw certainly in this game, certainly in the first half, was the 2 wing backs were trying to play high. It was more of a 3-4-2-1 at times, or 3-4-3 if you want to call it that. Although it was never really the two behind. Dominic Calvert-Lewin never really played the high. Obviously picking up the ball deep. So I think we are gonna look to play that way. But it started well. James Tarkowski strolling with the ball, played a lovely clipped ball over the top. Dom reacted really well and done fantastically with the header to put it in the top corner at the park end, and that was a good way to start the game. Calmed everyone down. It was pretty much a full house at Goodison as well. Loads of kids there. Great to see. Loads of kids probably going to their first game. It felt like for the first time for a long time, it felt like Goodison was back to being a whole again. They did. You had the fan zone before the game. The teams coming out. That's both coming out the tunnel. It felt like there was a bit more normality to it. So it was a really good start, and I think that calmed everyone down, including the players. And then the players went about just trying to play how they are being asked to play, basically.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the back 5 there, and I don't think we quite got the right squad for 4. We've mentioned the midfield; it's not quite good enough. We don't have a proper number 6, and we've tried a back 4 in pre-season. I think it was Minnesota who played 4-3-3, didn't we? And Davies number 6, not quite effective enough, didn't quite get the ball and get it forward. I think defensively we're all over the place as well, and obviously you mentioned Michael Keane there, and I don't think Yerry Mina is going to be available all season, so I still think we'll see a lot of Michael Keane. The good thing is he's got Tarkowski next to him. Having a back three, you can have Godfrey in there as well. He's got the recovery pace, and that's good because, like I said, we don't have a natural number 6. I think the good thing about a back three is it allows you to have, you've basically got, you can have your midfielders going forward, and you've still got that cover at the back. You've got 3 centre backs. If one of them's Godfrey, who's he's mobile, he's okay on the ball. He still needs to improve. I thought that after watching Kyiv, he needs to improve on the ball. He can be quite wasteful sometimes, but you can step into midfield, be a third midfielder. But then he's also, he's got that recovery pace at the back. If Michael Keane slips up, or Tarkowski, who really will, because he's a good player, he's experienced. And the good thing as well now, obviously Patterson, he's not played a Premier League game yet. Defensively, he needs to improve. So he obviously will, because he's only young. But he doesn't have to get up and down the full pitch while he's adjusting to the Premier League. It means he can stay a bit higher up the pitch and do what he's good at, which is attacking. Same with Mikalenko. And the good thing with Tarkowski in there as well, he's a leader who'll talk to them and improve them. He'll talk to Michael Keane as well, because even at Michael Keane's age of 28, 29, he still needs a leader next to him, it seems. And same with Godfrey, he still needs to improve defensively. So having Tarkowski in there, who's been fantastic, by the way, and was fantastic against the Kyiv. Certainly his passing, obviously the pass for the first goals was excellent. So
yeah, I think a lot of teams now play, they play with through the centre of the park. We don't, funny enough. But a lot of teams do play through the centre of the park, and then they'll get it wide when they get to the edge of the box. We play slightly different than that because we don't have, the midfield. A lot of teams will play 2 and a 2 midfield now. Two sit and then 2 in front of them, and it allows them to play through the midfield, and we've seen that quite a lot. Then the wing backs or full backs will get higher in the edge of the box, and I think having this system allows us to deal with the full backs, the opposition full backs coming up as being the width by having our wing backs, and it also gives us men in the middle of the park. Not having that natural player to take the ball in midfield, we tried it, like you said, in pre-season. It just hasn't worked because, and to be fair, at times it didn't quite. When we tried that in this game, it didn't quite work. We're too quick to give the ball away. We don't have that player who can hold on to it, can create a little bit of time and space. And if you haven't got that player, there's no point persisting with a style of play that doesn't suit you. One thing I did take out of this game is that Everton are going to have to adjust slightly. We do play wide far too much. It was one of the issues when Rafa Benitez came. There was just too much emphasis on being wide, getting crosses in. You have to be able to go through the centre. You have to have different options. And I think what playing with the wing backs does allow you is it does allow you those inside forwards, the old-fashioned inside forwards, and that's where Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon we're trying to use that space, trying to drive forward. The problem with those two is that both of them are just a little bit unruly. They play, it feels, and it might not be true, but it feels like both of them just play off the cuff too much. They're dribbling for dribbling's sake. That has to be. I don't know if you can have both of them on the pitch, and this is where Dwight McNeil might come into it, being we'll come on to him, but I just felt in that first half, the pair of them were running with the ball down blind alleys and losing the ball, and that was allowing Kyiv to get hold of the ball, and better teams a better team in the Premier League certainly would punish us for losing that ball too easy. So that's something that we definitely have to work on, and having Iwobi and the Corey in the centre of the park as well was an interesting one because there's no natural defender in there. So that both of them are trying to get on the ball. The Corey less so, and there's always that chance you're going to lose the ball or have it nicked off you. So that's where I suppose an Allen or potentially a Garner Gay would come in and be that player in front and allow the players. But there's definitely food for thought. I think the fact that Tarkowski can use the ball well, we're getting the switches on as well. There's a lot of times when we played the ball over to Patterson, who's really high up, and obviously he's a tall kid, and he's knocking it then headed first time into Damari Gray, So there's that out ball as well, and that allows you to go wide, but then come inside straight away as well. So it is good that we saw those different ways of playing. I was happy with that. You know, in the first two friendlies, there was too much emphasis on the back four, or the back three, getting the ball and then getting it into the midfield, and then the midfield trying to play through. There was far too much emphasis on that. I think I like the fact that there was a little bit more of a balance, and we were trying to go back to front a little bit quicker. So that again gives me a little bit more optimism that we're not going to try and play our way through the season and not persist with something, because you don't just, the manager has to play a different style, and you have to try and develop it and learn. But at the same time, I'm glad that there's another option. Yeah. Whereas I felt like in the first two games there wasn't another option, or the other option was just bang it to Dom and Calvert-Lewin and get him to hold it up and then lay it off. That can't always be the way. Those diagonals I saw in this game, they were definitely a lot more of a factor that worked.
Well, I think the first two games we tried stuff, wasn't it? We didn't look like scoring at all. I don't think we got enough players forward. I don't think enough players closer to Dom. But in the last two games, and certainly in the Blackpool game, Dom didn't play. Dele Alli playing inside, playing closer to the striker, utilising that. Like the Blackpool, the first goal against Blackpool was perfect. One winger getting up in the pitch, going inside. He crosses the ball and it's you with a full back at the back post. And at that time, there was 5 players in the box, which is what you want to see. Obviously, Tom Davies getting forward from midfield, which is also what you want, your midfielders scoring goals. I don't think Demarai Gray and Gordon, like I said before, they're both right-footed, aren't they? I don't think, for me, you'd have one of them playing on the left, cutting in with his right, creating that space for Mykolenko to go down the left. And the same on the right-hand side, I'd have a left-footed player. I think that's what McNeil offers you. He can play inside. So the run he made for his goal, coming inside and obviously shooting as well.
I think what happened in certainly in the first half was, because first 20 minutes I thought we were fine, and then after that we just started to lose the ball really cheaply, just trying to almost play on a counter attack at times, and then Demarai Gray and Gordon, who were supposed to be the players who were going to take it up the field, kept on losing it cheaply, or there was times when Mykolenko wasn't being given an option.
It was an hour and a half.
He was staying back too much, and you've got to have those wing backs are going to work. They have to be going past the players on the ball. They have to be given, and they have to always be, an option, an out ball. And maybe that's why we've brought in Vinaigrette over there. Maybe again someone else, another option. We haven't got too much on the right hand side at the moment. They have to always be, and what I've seen of Patterson when he plays for Scotland, certainly he's always willing to get forward. So they have to be that out ball if the likes of Gray and Gordon get on the ball and we're trying to counter attack. But what kept on happening, we kept on breaking down. We kept on, Iwobi sometimes, Gordon sometimes, Demarai Gray kept on breaking down and allowed them to start getting on the ball. And they wasn't their first team. They played in the Champions League on the Wednesday and they got through. They started getting on the ball and started to make, some dangerous moments where in the Premier League you'll get punished. So we certainly have to get better at that. There has to be an out ball rather than just Dom up front. There has to be somebody bombing down the left and someone bombing down the right. That's got to be your wing backs. And they had a few moments, obviously there was the free kick right on half time, but there was just little moments that, because it wasn't their first team or they weren't as sharp, we managed to block out. There was one, Tarkowski nearly took the lad into the stand, he cut him in half, which was good, but we have to just be wary of that, of having that out ball. If we're taking the ball and we're running with it, there has to be someone, even if it's just to take a player away so that, Gordon has only got one man to beat, or Demarai Gray, but they have to be better as well. They definitely got to be sharper and a little bit better. But we got to half time. They had the moments, as I said, the last 15 minutes of the first half. They picked up a lot. But coming out second half, certainly when we brought Dwight McNeil on and we brought him on the right of the two, it suddenly gave us that little bit more impetus. I thought he was a lot more direct, and obviously we saw that with the goal, which was great. But that'll be his first game at Goodison Park, only been signed the day before, and he's thinking, right, I've got to impress. But what I liked was about it is he run into the space. He didn't run at people, he run into the space. It's something that footballers just they do this too much, where they want to take on players, where instead of hit the space, run into the space. It's going to give you a couple of extra seconds, or
I think he was looking to get. I think the difference with him and players like Demarai Gray gets a player and wants to run down the line and take a player on. When McNeil, he saw the space.
Well, he run into the space, and I don't know what. Listen, I don't know whether that's I don't know whether that's a big part of his game because where he was playing for Burnley, be a difference. But certainly coming in on the right hand side and cutting across onto your left, that to me is exactly what we need. And he was a lot more direct. And I think that showed where the manager certainly wants him and why he's different, because he is left-footed. He can come across. He's different from the other two. And to me, it's not about taking on it's about taking on players, but it's not about dribbling. It's about using your little bit of pace. And I thought he was obviously it was his first game. I'm not going to build him up. I've seen a lot of people going, oh, see this and see that. You should. It's like it's his first game. Leave him. He's got a good goal, and then he's gone and got a second goal. But the second goal as well, I think it's a corner. We keep it alive. We get another corner on the other side to take in short. And Vinagre had come on as well. He just puts a lovely ball into the box, that reminiscent of Dean, where he's got a player in front of him. He almost uses him as a shield, gets it into a great area, and it's an easy one for Dwight McNeil. But that's exactly what I liked about those two signings when I saw them, was they were different. Dwight McNeil was different from the other two players we've got in there. Vinagre was different from what we've seen from Mykolenko, who doesn't always want to put the ball in first time, because that disappointed me actually. There was lots of opportunities, certainly in the first half, for Mykolenko to just put a ball across the box, put it into the danger area, zip it across and see what happens. And he wouldn't, he'd check, and I think that's something he's definitely got to improve, but something that Vinagre straight away, you saw, great cross, just part of his game, and, very quickly you've gone from being 1-0 up to 2 and 3 very, very quickly, and you've took the game away, and I think it's those little moments that are going to be key, those having players who are different from what you've already got.
Well, obviously the Vinagres came in, and I was only on loan, and it's not such a stopping Mykolenko's development to develop Vinagre. It's more of you can push Mykolenko now. Vinagre is a very good attacking player. Mykolenko might be better defensively, but ultimately he's playing wing back, so we need to have better output going forward. And we saw that in the first half. Mykolenko was stopping and then crossing, the players getting the block off, or he'd give it back. So I think that one with Vinagre, if that was Mykolenko, we'd have stopped and give it back to the winger or the midfielder. With Vinagre, obviously, the player standing up, he's took him on, beat him, and got the ball. Ultimately, he's come to a goal. We need to see Mykolenko doing that more, being a bit more direct, trying to take players on and getting the ball and getting across him. Yeah,
Mykolenko, if that's what the manager wants, and that's what this kid does,
then he'll play him. So
then he'll have to look at it and go, well, I need to do more of that. Or you learn together. You can train. You're training together. The manager's asking you to do certain things. It becomes habit. Mykolenko, I've seen him put crosses in like that for Ukraine. It's not that he can't do it. It's just that he might be doubting himself, or it might even be sometimes instruction. If the ball's not on, don't give it away cheaply. Come back and we'll start it again. So we'll have to find that balance, that sweet spot. But obviously, as the game went on, they made changes, and that suited us more. We're at home. We had a bit of a head of steam second half, but we started to win the ball in the right areas, win it higher up, and that's where Dwight McNeil's goal came from, winning it high.
It was a Wobie, wasn't it, in midfield, which impressed me, because it's not his normal game, isn't it, getting and breaking up play, but he got stuck in, Wobie. He can impress him, and he shows that he can be available in midfield. I know we're linked with players coming in midfield, but it shows that he will be, because like I said, we got Vinagre out there, we can play left wing back and challenge Mykolenko. We haven't really got that on the right. Coleman's not really going to get up and down like Patterson can now, so shows Iwobi he can play that role, and he can play in midfield as well, so it shows that Iwobi's got something more.
Yeah, listen, it's not the team's done better in the last 2 weeks since they come back from America. It looks sharper, it looks like it's a more cohesive unit. The back line looks better and has got options. Iwobi might end up filling in on the right wing back if some games if they're worried about maybe Patterson's defensive nous rather than ability. More is nous, more if he's switched on to seeing things. You need that cover. You need more options. We've spoke about it there. We still don't have a player who can go into the midfield and take the ball off the back three or the back four if we play back four. You need different options. I just think that for the three at the back, I thought that there was a little bit more cohesion. And it's about the transition. It's about how you get it through the midfield to the forward areas. I think that was the only disappointment in the first half. Was far too many times that was breaking down. That's something that's going to have to be improved on. That comes down to individual errors for me. Players not doing the simple thing, or players trying to do too much. Gordon and Damari Gray trying to take on players. But hopefully that'll come with sharpness, and certainly for Gordon, hopefully, he's very much still learning. There's moments in the game. He had a great opportunity in the second half, I think before we got the second goal, where he's picked the ball up on the edge of the area, and he's been confronted with two on his right foot, so he's tried to go on the outside with his left foot. Sometimes that'll come off for you, or sometimes maybe if you go on your right and take a quick snapshot, you might get it. But he's getting he needs to start just developing that little extra thing, I think, of not always just going for the dribble or going for the shot or going for the cross. Sometimes he needs to just maybe go, no, I'll put my foot on it and start again. But then, like I was saying before, that's where you need Michalenko bursting past them, or whoever's playing on that left-hand side, create the space. That'll all come. But I was a lot more, we looked more of a team. There was more cohesion, defensively and going forward. There's a lot more.
They seem to be putting more patterns of play together. There's one in the second half, Patterson picks it up. The energy he's got is incredible. He plays a give and go with Iwobi, and nice bit of football, and he makes that run down the right, which we didn't really get a lot with Coleman last season.
It's trust, isn't it, as well? It's trust of knowing what the players can do. Patterson was used a lot of time for that out ball, heading it inside. Sometimes it came off, sometimes it didn't. You've got to have that trust factor. If I give you the ball, will you give me it back? Or if I give you the ball, have you got the ability to sprint past their fullback if I put it inside for you? That's going to take a little bit of time, I think. And I think that's where cooler heads, just a couple more, that's where if Garner does come in, I think he'll be massive for the midfield, because if you're going to play a two, then you have got options. I think if Garner was to come in and, listen, is he the same Garner? But if he does come in, can you put an Iwobi in there and have that extra man in there, that extra bit of creativity? He'll work hard for you, but has he got that extra little bit of creativity? Well, yeah. There's questions about where will, Dele Alli came on in the second half, and I thought every time he was on the ball, he felt like he was going to make something happen. Where is he going to play? Is he going to be a replacement for Dom? In terms of if Dom goes off, is he going to come on from? Is he going to play on that left-hand side and Dwight McNeil maybe plays on the right-hand side of the two behind? Suddenly you've got options. And it's not all about, say this all the time, it's not about your best 11. It's about having different options. Some days you might be playing against a really high line and think, well, if we play Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon here, we could expose that. But then some days you'll be playing against a team who sit back and you've got lots of space between you and them because they're sitting on the 18-yard box, and you need players like Dele Alli to start unlocking it and pulling holes in it. Or being that player that you pull it back and he's there to knock it in. So, more options, the better, the more players. Frank Lampard said that after the game, he wants more players, and he knows that. We know that. Garner would be a start, another forward, whether it be Brozier or someone else. And that number 6, it's still elusive. We know that's what Frank Lampard wanted from the off. That number 6 that allows you to play a back four. Someone who takes the ball and opens up the field, because I still think we're far too dependent on the wide areas. But if you have got what Dwight McNeil showed in this game was, you do have someone who's left-footed who can stay in the width of the goalpost almost. You've got those two behind the centre forward, and one's on one goalpost and one's on the other.
And teams know, because he's left-footed, he's going to be coming inside looking to shoot, which opens up that space for Patterson to run into, and Patterson we know can run into that space, and we've seen him done before.
So it does feel like it's a bit more cohesive. It does feel like there's a plan, you know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a long season.
I do think we'll be going into the season playing a back three. I do think what out of this game, what we need is, you mentioned Garner coming in there. I think what Garner gives you a bit of discipline, certainly in your own half. Like too many times Kyiv had like a corner or a free kick or something, and we got back on the ball and just gave it straight back to them. A bit wasteful. So bit more discipline in our own half. Bit more quality midfield as well to get the ball from back.
Yeah, listen, we're still miles off. We're talking about. I'm talking about being a little bit more optimistic in loose terms. Just seeing a team that's not just putting five behind the ball and open for the best almost.
We're building something, aren't we? We got Patterson is not even.
I can see what we're trying to do. Whether it works or not, that's going to take quality. That's going to take players improving. I think it's going to take more people coming into the squad. It's going to take more people coming in the squad and obviously getting rid of some people so that the drop off in quality isn't the same. You know what I mean? For me, I know me and Baz spoke about this last week, but if you do have a Garner and you have an Allen on the bench, then they're similar skill sets there. You're not lurching from one thing to another. Of course, there's still, you've got the core and you don't really have anyone to replace him, but you've got similar skill sets there. You know, Gordon and Damari Gray are similar. I'm not sure both of them can play in this team, but certainly one can replace the other without a massive drop off in knowing what they do. And I think in the last year or so, that's been the big issue for me. You know, you lose a player and the player replacing him is nowhere near the same kind of player. So, and again, when people last week talking about, you know, when Vinagre come in and scratching their head, it's like, well, now you've got two players who can play left back or left wing back that are maybe similar qualities. Okay, we haven't got that on the right, but Iwobi could probably fill in if for the time being. But it's about finding those players where when the squad's maybe depleted, you know, the drop off's not massive. If you've got a Mina and Keane comes in for them, it's not. Mina's well better than Keane, but
in terms of
style of play, they're similar. So I think that's important, and hopefully we get, you know, listen, there's a month left of the window open. Hopefully we get a couple more that fill those roles.
Overall, do you think it's been a good pre-season?
I think obviously it's developed obviously better.
It's been productive, hasn't it?
The games in America, the games I don't think were particularly good.
But I think you learned a lot from those games.
I think you learned, but also just the trainings, the day-to-day training, the facilities, you know, probably were, you know, I imagine were top class and were brilliant for them being out in that heat. It was incredible. Coming back, they've won the 2 games, you know, and that's it. Now gives you that confidence going into the season. And listen, we start with a really tough game and we go from there. And yeah, it's built, it's developed, and let's see where we are, and let's see with a couple more players where we can get to. But if it does feel a bit more positive, so I'm a bit more positive about the season. I'm a bit more positive that, you know, we can hold our own and hopefully give a good account of ourselves this season. But we definitely need some more players. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. How are you feeling going into the season? Are you optimistic that we can, you know, do something this season, or are you more optimistic than you were a couple of weeks ago? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure, if you want daily live exclusive shows, to join us over on Toffee TV Premier. The link is in the description and it'll be on the screen right now. See you later.